Speaking of spacey things, Prey. Where should I even begin with Prey? Um, I love it. I think it's one of the best games I've played in years. I kept kind of waffling. I was like, this is one of the best games I've played since, and I would like name a game from 10 years ago, and I was like, no, Bloodborne. I really enjoyed Bloodborne, so I think I can go back as far as Bloodborne. This is the best game I've played since Bloodborne. This is the best game I've played this year. It beats Resident Evil 7 for me, even though I loved Resident Evil 7. It beats Neo, even though I love Neo. We'll talk about Neo more in a minute. And it beats Zelda, because I think Zelda, for as great as it is a little bit of a disappointment. And one of the things that Zelda actually does extremely well, that exploration, that macro level of wandering the world and seeing something over the hill, right? An old man. And wanting to explore that, and wanting to see what's up with that. Just that spark. It's like a spark of imagination, but it's a spark of exploration. It's the Lewis and Clark in us all to go and see the world. That's what Breath of the Wild is. And what Prey does is the exact opposite. Breath of the Wild is the macro. It is this expanse, the breath of the wild. But Prey is the small, intimate moments of being on a realistically proportioned space station. Every single part, there's a cargo bay, there's the recreation area, there's corridors for people to sleep in, there's a lobby, there's all this stuff, and it's all logically laid out, and it's all just as inviting, just as intriguing as that faraway mountain is in Breath of the Wild. You'll go into a room, and you'll open the door and slowly look and see a cabinet and pilfer through it. You'll see a note on the door, and that note reveals a passcode to the computer. You walk over to the computer, enter the passcode, or you could have hacked it if you didn't see the note. Or you could have found the password another way. There's so many different ways, is what I'm saying. And you read an email on that. And on the email, it just kind of mentions this guy who's been stealing artifacts and making his own artifacts, materials, and making his own robot. And it's like, oh, I gave it this goofy name. And there's like another email with his friend making fun of him for the goofy name of this robot he's making. And then you walk around the world and you find a destroyed robot. And it's named. And you realize that was that guy's robot. And now it's destroyed. And it's these little tiny moments. It is the macro exploration, or the micro exploration, that Breath of the Wild does so well in the reverse. Prey does that. It does the exact opposite for that. And it's so fucking incredible what it does for... I mean, this is a game that if anyone wants to get into game development, particularly level design, needs to play. This is a level designer's dream. It is incredible, some of the things they've done. How, like, even just normal game design perspective here, you'll have a room, and I can't get into the room, right? It's locked. I don't have the key card, okay? I can't even hack it. That's how locked this door is. But there's so many options for me to get into this room. I can turn into a little cup and navigate through a hole in the window. Okay, sure, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can look up and see some way to use the glue gun to make platforms up into the room through a maintenance hallway. Maybe I can just continue exploring and find the owner of that room, and find the keycard on them. Maybe I can even do a crazier thing and have a foam dart gun shoot a computer through the broken glass in the window, and the computer has an option to open the door, and I just have to shoot enough darts until I hit it and open the door for myself. And it sounds like one of those canned things that they'd use in an E3 demo, right? Well, you can do this so many different ways. You can kill this guy, and then you can go over here. You can stealth this way and do all these things. And then when you actually play the game, it doesn't live up to it, right? It's really that one scenario. It's not the whole game, or it's more limited when you actually play the game. That's not true here. The entirety of Prey is set up like this. There are so many different ways and options to get anywhere. And it's so much fun, even if you've already unlocked the door, right? Even if you've figured out the key code combination, it's still fun to look around the room and go, oh, I can go here. Like, I could have came into this room a completely other way. I just recently, there was this room that I didn't realize had a fake ceiling, right? It's glass. The ceiling was glass, but I could have broken it and climbed through the over the broken glass and stuff into the next room that was locked, that maybe I didn't have the key for. Or I could have just had the key. Or I could have used one of the recycling grenades to clear stuff out of the way of the door. Or I could just not go into, like, the choices, the moment-to-moment choices in exploration. This slow, methodical exploration of this space station is incredible, and it is so much fun to me to find these objects. Like, every single object in the game can be broken down into its core components and used for crafting. So you can end up crafting neuromods, which are your skill points, basically. You can end up crafting any weapon. As long as you have the fabrication plan, you can 3D print all this stuff and break it down. And so you'll be finding, where in other games, you'll find an extra shotgun that's like the level 1 shotgun. You'll just like, whatever, throw this away, I don't need this. You'll take it. In this game, you'll take it. And you'll take everything. Like, oh, I used a banana. I'll take it, right? And I'm going to throw it into this recycling machine, and I'm going to get core components, and I'm going to do something with that. And I'm going to craft, like, oh, I'm running out of pistol ammunition. Let me craft it. And it does something where I'm 23 hours into the game. I feel like it could be winding down. There could be like 3 or 4 hours left, or there also could be 10 more. I don't really know. It could go either way at this point. Where now I'm getting hunted by enemies. Like, there are things to fight. It is not as slow as it was before. As I was exploring, now I'm running out of new areas, so I'm not exploring the same way, right? And I'm using all these things I've been finding. I have 20 EMPs, right? I've just been carrying them around this entire time. And now's the time to use them. Now it's like, oh, there's 3 of these guys in this room, whereas usually there would have been 1. And this guy, he's holding 3 turrets, and they're surrounding his body, and they're just firing at you. So you throw an EMP, and then I slow down time, and I run up to him, and I shoot him in the face with a shotgun. Or I sneak up onto him. He doesn't have the turrets, right? So I sneak up on him. I shoot him with a stun gun. He's stunned. I shoot him a couple times. It's just about to come out of stun. I slow time again, shoot him, continue shooting him. He dies. Like, there's so many different ways to do this. There's another gun that I could use. And it's one of those things, too, where you think there are so few weapons. And I think that's a good thing. There isn't a rocket launcher. There isn't this super crazy gun. There isn't an Uzi. Unless if there's an Uzi, I haven't found it. There's basically a pistol, a shotgun, your wrench. There's a glue gun, which you don't use offensively, but you can. And I did at the beginning of the game in particular. And there's also another, like a particle beam cannon, which doesn't damage them so much as fill up a second gauge that if it gets full, kills them. I don't know what that means. I think it just kills them on a molecular level. And it's incredible. Like, those same amount of options for navigating around the world and finding solutions to things exists in the combat. The very fact that I have not augmented my abilities with some kind of, Typhon, which are the aliens, power, and I'm pretty late game, I think. You know, I can't turn into any of these objects. I can't shoot a Psybeam wave. I'm not resistant to fire or whatever. Like, I am just pure human abilities, and I keep upgrading them, and I love it. And I love that I can get through the game like that. Like, there's no penalty. I don't need the Psybeam power. But on another playthrough, I could just go full crazy alien person and be shifting around the room. There's an ability where you can like shift over here, right? And then your first body stays there and people think it's still you, right? And I think another thing while I'm talking about skills that needs to be brought up, I really pick on certain games for their skill trees. I picked on the Witcher 3 a little bit for its skill tree, but I really pick on Skyrim and Fallout 4 for their skill trees for making not a lot of sense, for having too many options that are non-consequential. And I love the fact that Prey gets the skill tree right. It is not, oh, you get 20% more health if you spend 5 perks to get there. Like, it's not that. These perks you start getting, I don't know why I'm going to call them perks now, these skills you can get with the neuromods. It's like, oh, you have 100 life, right? Well, the first one you get is 115. I'm like, all right, fine. But fully upgraded, 300. 3 times your health. There are certain things, oh, I want to upgrade this. Now I do 50% more damage with all guns. Like, that's a big increase in a game where the damage values, you could have the starting shotgun that does 40 damage or something, and now it does 90 because you upgraded all these points and you upgraded the weapon a couple times. The point being, the skill tree is fantastic, and it isn't, oh, there's 16 levels of this. Like, for the at most it'll be three levels. So like or hacking goes up to 4, right? So there's level 4 hacking, level 3 hacking, level 2 hacking, level 1 hacking, level 1 like lifting of heavy objects, then level 2 is heavier objects, stuff like that. And other abilities that are like, oh, I want to break down components in my inventory and use them as spare parts. Or I want to be able to use spare parts to repair things in the world. These are abilities you don't have to get, right? You don't have to do that. There's this one puzzle, I guess we'll call it, that I did recently where this component was broken. And I could have just repaired it. Or I could have gone into this other room and carried it back over there and just found it. And it does that thing that everyone loves Breath of the Wild for, and it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't put everything like, you need to go and collect this. Here it is, shining, here it is. It just says, hey, you need to find some disruptor stuff. And for the most part, it'll just let you like find it. Like, just find it then, It'll maybe point you in the right direction, but it's not going to hold your hand for these little optional objectives. It really lets you play the way you want to play. Oh, hey. Kyle talk record. I never know how to read. This other screen's really far away. Just talking about Prey. How much I love Prey. There's a couple other things I had written down here. I think I should mention that IGN review, which is insane. I understand complaining that like the game shit the bed on you. And I haven't read the review because I don't want to read it yet because I'm still knee deep in Prey. But I feel like it's a little silly and crazy, and it's not going to happen to a lot of people. If you look at the Steam review page, not a lot of people are having problems like that. I had one glitch. This review talks about crashes, no crashes. Like it's run pretty flawlessly, except for one. There's one room in one area that doesn't run very well. And I don't think that's my computer. It seems to be a widespread issue in that one room. It just doesn't run right. And I think it has to do with the lighting is loading weird in it. Like I kept turning, and if I walked away, I'd see the lighting like load weird. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. But the only problem I've had with the game is this one glitch where something got deleted out of my inventory when I went through a door. Besides that, flawless. So I think it's weird to have a review and be like, this game's pretty great, but it shit the bed all over me. Here's a 4. I don't know. I need to read the review, but I want to beat the game first. I don't want anyone else's opinions tainting my own on Prey, because I do want. It's such an experience to me. I don't want even the stray sentence of someone talking about a moment in it to interfere with how I'm processing through it, because I'm enjoying it so much. It's insane too. And if you look at a game like BioShock, which is like what, 8, 10 hours, 12 hours maybe. I'm 23 hours into this. It could very well be, by the time I'm done with it, 30 plus of slow, methodical, thoughtful gameplay. This isn't like BioShock. Like, think of the original BioShock. It ends with a corridor shooter segment. Like, it really starts off slow, and you're looking at every note, and you're picking up ammo, and it becomes a shooter. It becomes, oh, you have a grenade launcher, and you have a minigun, and you've upgraded this and you've upgraded that, and you've got fire missiles and you got turrets shooting beep 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 beep, like the little turret noises. You've got all this stuff, and in this game it maintains so impressively. It's so impressive to me that it does this. It maintains that slow attitude, that slow way of play that really can only be found at the beginning of a lot of games, where like I'm still scrounging around. Like I still need to scrounge around. I'll still run out of ammo, and I can fabricate the ammo, sure, with the crafting, and I can still die in combat encounters. Like it's still something where I need to pause and save the game and like look at it and think, how do I want to play this? I know I have 30 med kits. That's besides the point. I want to defeat this combat encounter without using any med kits, without like in the most optimal way possible, because I'm hoarding all these things. This really is a game for hoarders and recyclers, because you do recycle a lot of things in it. But the pacing, that's what I was talking about. The pacing's incredible. That they're able to keep what so many things lose. Like the BioShock's great. I really did enjoy BioShock, but it does become a shooter in a way that this game doesn't. And a lot of complaints about this game, which I'm honestly surprised by. When I played the demo, I was like, this is the next game of the year. Like this is the next game everyone's gonna freak out about. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's kind of a little lukewarm reception to it. Because I was blown away and remain blown away by pretty much everything in it. Everything. I think the story's good. I don't want to really go into it. The story's good and interesting. The setting is particularly great. I love that it's all contained. It's not... It feels logical. Like, this is the water treatment facility that you'd need in a space station. This is the cargo hold over here. Like, it's laid out in a way that fits really well. I think it could use a better map, maybe. It could also use a better inventory in terms of I'm hoarding so much garbage. I need more space for garbage. Like the junk maybe should stack a little better. But I think overall, this game, in a year of games that are just for me, right? Resident Evil 7, Neo, Zelda, another one I probably forgot. Even Mass Effect, like these are all games that feel like these are my games. Like this is exactly targeted to me. This is the one that is most me. I love the setting. I love the gameplay. I love the freaking skill tree. I never love skill trees in a lot of games. They're always so just bad. This one gets it right. It gets it right in so many areas that it's hard for me to find much fault with it. And just the fact of how many different ways you can go through a combat encounter. You can prepare for it. You can build turrets and set them up. You can hack other things and like set up traps. You can use the environment against things. Like there's tubes of, it's like, oh, it's flammable. Watch out, it's flammable. If you shoot it, a fire will start bursting out of it. You can use that as a trap. And it does that in such a way that like BioShock did that. Like the original BioShock did that. But it was always so obvious. It was like, hey, look, these guys are in a pool. Why don't you electrify them? And I'm like, all right, fine. But you don't get, maybe you do get an electric ability. I just don't have it because I never leveled that up. But you'll be fighting these things and stuff will start being on fire because of the environment, because enemies are coated in fire or coated in electricity. So you have to deal with that. Like I can't fight this guy on metal because he's going to electrify the floor. I can't do that. Or he's going to electrify this pool of water that's nearby. I can't have that either. This guy's lighting things on fire and there's a bunch of explosives over there. Like, don't take the fight over there. There's so many things to take into consideration. And that's the other thing too. You don't even have to take them into consideration, technically. It's the choice of it all. The world feels so like tight and itself. And hopefully, I don't know, is this even a review? I'm going to review this game essentially like 7 times because I love it. Love it so much. I can't wait to, I think next week I'll have finished it, hopefully, unless it's an 80-hour game somehow. Review and talk about the story because I think it's really good. I think it's told well. It's interesting, but it's not quite there for me. There are some great moments. There's a lot of cool character interaction stuff. it remains to be seen where it goes from. Yeah, here's another example. I can shoot that and then repair it, and now it's not zapping stuff, and I can get the things that are next to these people. I can find all these people. There's something homely, that might not be the right word, about this station. It feels welcoming, but in a scary way, of like going back to your childhood home and no one's there. I don't know why I did that in the gameplay, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Are there any questions? Are there any questions about Prey? Just play it. Jesus. There's a water treatment facility in it. That should be enough. It's not enough? Maybe don't play it for the water treatment facility. Oh, there's also equipment, like mods for your suit and stuff, which I think are laid out poorly, but not super consequential. It's good. It's good shit. It's a very good game. It's a very, very good game that I will say again, very shocked it's not getting. I mean, I was expecting like 8, 9s, and 10s, but it, like across the board, because even the demo, I would have paid. I played that demo for 7 hours. It's so good, and I kept finding new things. Like, I'd play through this game again, I guarantee you I'd find new stuff. And you start looking at the world differently. You start seeing windows and like things above you, and you really start looking at them and thinking like, is that a viable route? What if I go over there? What if I try and do all these things over this way or that way? Like, it rules. This game rules. We'll end this after I kill this guy. So here's what you can do. I got the sneak attack on him for double damage. I start shooting him. He's shooting me. I slow down time. I keep shooting him. I change to my wrench to beat him up and do the final blow. But it has that tense, frantic combat throughout. And I love that. People have complained about the combat and how it kind of doesn't feel right. And I can understand those complaints, but it's the same way of tank controls in Resident Evil 1. I think they add to the experience. I think the fact that the mimics jump around and you can't always fight them makes sense. It feels like trying to hit a creature that's jumping around the room with a wrench, which, newsflash, wouldn't be super easy. It makes sense, and you do get better at it, and it is... it's fucking incredible. I wish I was playing it right now. Can I just do that? Can I play it right now? No? Fine. Fine. It's enough about Prey. Just go play it. Go pray it.